Good evening, everybody. It is Ethan, and this is Content Curation. You know, it's really hard. Good evening, Sinister Porpoise. How are you? It's really hard.
Good evening.
It's really hard to have a conversation with you about Taoism when you make such silly assertions about Bugs Bunny and Winnie the Pooh. It's disgusting. I can't understand. Good evening. How are you? Oh wait, we don't have your audio.
Ooh,
oh, there we
that's
go.
Because just remember, don't take life too seriously. You're not getting out alive.
This is true. How are you this evening?
I'm fine.
I'm
also
glad.
remember, Bugs Bunny's most important cultural contributions to most Americans is that he's their introduction to Richard Wagner.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. I will accept that. Good evening. I want to get into the Bugs Bunny Taoism thing eventually. We're going to get there. But the first question I like to start in all of these interviews is what made you want to start being a content creator?
Well, mostly because I just wanted to learn video editing.
Okay.
I mean, photography is kind of a hobby of mine. I'm not great at it. I mean, there's a D3500 over there that I've taken some pictures with.
Okay.
But unfortunately, the thing that really made it take off was getting involved in something I never should have inserted myself into.
Sure. And I think we're going to touch on that a little bit because I think both of us have the exact same feelings on that. But as far as like creating content initially, it was just about you wanted to learn videography.
Yeah, well, I was a journalist. I've also done things like video games, and part of it, I think, well, not so much for what I was doing, but for the video games, part of it is just like telling stories. And just, in some cases, it's a way to display your humor, or my humor anyway. Which tends to be, I've told it's been a little on the snarky side.
A little bit.
Hello, April.
Hi, April, and hi, Maya, and Christina, and our top, and Titan, and everybody else who's here. Okay, so what made you want to create on YouTube specifically?
It's just a matter of, there are a lot better platforms than YouTube, but YouTube's where everyone goes.
Sure.
So it was a strategic decision.
Was it because for the discoverability? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, first of all, it's like YouTube owns Google, so you get the SEO benefits from that. Secondly, I had an idea of doing some political stuff, and YouTube tends to be notoriously right-wing, and there needs to be some counterbalance, but there are a lot better people doing that, not like ContraPoints, PhilosophyTube, and the guy whose name begins with a V.
Vsauce?
Vosh.
Oh, Vosh. Oh, okay. I was going to say Vosh. Okay, right.
I don't think I watch Vsauce.
You're not, I mean, you are missing a lot. Anyway, long story. We're not getting into what Vsauce is right now. Okay, so So initially it was about trying to counterbalance the narrative that you saw, and you thought you could do that with your own voice.
Yeah, I found out I wasn't really good at it, but that's fine.
Okay. What? I guess my question is, why specifically? Why specifically YouTube instead of? Why didn't you make videos on Facebook? Why didn't you make videos on Twitter?
I actually do make videos on Twitter, but Twitter was, like I said, the main thing is if you make stuff like that, you actually want people to see them. And while Twitter can be good if people already know you, I guess Facebook's become good, but it didn't used to be for that. Plus, I typically use Facebook to keep in touch with family members.
Right.
And it didn't I guess they were starting their video thing. And Periscope was more just like off the cuff when you're out for a walk.
Right.
So yeah, it was just, the main thing is like, when you create anything, you do want other people to share it or experience what you did.
Right. Sure. Interaction.
And it's like YouTube is just where you're going to get the most views. You can put it on additional platforms to get more views. At least until the market changes.
Well,
I'm not sure I'm explaining this well, but...
No, I get what you're saying. Like, YouTube is the king of discoverability, is what they like to say. That, YouTube is the second biggest search engine out there behind Google. Google's number one, YouTube's number two. When, for instance, recently I wanted to, what was it that I was doing? Something broke and I needed to figure out how to fix it. I don't remember. Oh, it was my ex-wife's car. My ex-wife's car had an issue, and I decided, hey, I'm gonna not Google, but I'm gonna look up on YouTube if there are tutorials how to do this. And there weren't just one, right? There were like 20 on the first page. I mean, there were pages and pages of tutorials on how to do this one little thing in a car. And YouTube has that power over a Facebook and over a Twitch in order to get a very niche message out. For instance, we think a lot of like the people in the skeptic community that are really big, like, a Jimmy Snow is really big, but he only has a very small, tiny, itsy bitsy portion of the entire YouTube viewer database. I mean, Marquise Brownlee has like 15.4 million subscribers or something. So you can have these very, very small channels like mine that have a very niche audience about a very specific topic. And I think that's beautiful. And I think that's what creates such a great platform for discussion, because you can have these very granular channels, these very granular discussions that get a fair amount of interaction.
I think Twitch could be that if they improve their search engine.
Well, I think...
But
I'm putting together a whole video on Twitch versus YouTube right now, and yeah, I think Twitch might be going the way of the dinosaur not too long because they literally, for that very reason. Even though their audience interaction tools are a lot better. Anyway, that's a whole other video that I'm doing. I don't want to get too deep into that here, but did you try to create any of your same content on other platforms?
Well, like I said, Periscope was tied into with Twitter, and I did stuff there, and actually did Restream going to Twitch and Periscope, and Restream has its own, but
sure.
But no, I started out as mostly a writer, blogger, and just because of the way it was set up, I got burnout. It's like one day I'd like to return to it, but it's just like I can't do it anymore.
What got you started writing?
Oh, that was a long time ago. I mean, geez, that was back in elementary school, and it's like, well, when I realized I wasn't going to be an astronaut.
You wanted to be an astronaut?
Everyone wants to be an astronaut. Everyone wants to be an astronaut or something similar when they're silly.
I never had
when they're
that.
7.
Nope. I will tell you why not. This is a true story. So I watched the Challenger blow up with my own eyes when I was 5 years old. I had chicken pox and I was home from school. And where I lived, you could actually see the shuttle go up from where I lived in Florida. And my older brother was homeschool from sick too. Nope. Let me try that again. Was homeschool. Nope. Was home from school sick with chicken pox as well. I got there. And we were standing out in the front yard and we were watching the shuttle go up because we always watch the shuttle launches. And there was a big fireball. And I said to him, what's going on? I was 4 or 5 years old. And he said, I think that was the booster rockets. Let's go inside. And Dan Rather was on the news crying because the Challenger had blown up.
Well,
so I did not want to be an astronaut after that. I was like, those things explode. Nope.
Oddly enough, this decision was made shortly after the Challenger blew up. But before Chernobyl happened, because that was the same year.
Right, yeah. That was a bad year for science, man. It's a bad year for science. So you've been writing since you were in elementary school?
Yeah.
But what, fiction, nonfiction? What did you like most?
Well, what did I like most? Well, I was going to say, I spent time as a journalist. Not a good one, so probably mostly nonfiction. And this is a weird story, but it's like someone actually decided to do my astrology chart. And they asked me for my birthday, what time of day I was born. I'm like, morning, why? And she's like, oh, you're an Aquarius with a Scorpio moon. That's why you're a journalist. I'm like, what?
Okay. All right. I don't know enough about astrology to say that's correct or incorrect, but okay.
I have no idea. It's just something that struck me as bizarre because I consider astrology about as valid as the multiphasic Myers-Briggs, whatever it's called.
You don't believe in the Myers-Briggs? You don't think the Myers-Briggs is a valid personality examination tool? Really? Because there are people that think that the Myers-Briggs is like solid science. Like I'm not people that are into woo, but people that are into like solid science, like swear by it.
But it was based on valid science. But if you ask Christopher Moudy about it, if you ever have a chance, he can explain it to you better than I can.
I'm Christopher Moudy. I want him on the show, so I'm trying to put that together. So if he's on, I will ask him all about it.
But it was something like the science that they used to guide it was valid, but the people who came up with it weren't scientists.
Right.
Something like that.
Okay.
Spell check is overrated.
Well, spell check is overrated.
Oh, it's in the chat.
Yeah, no, I know. I saw. Yeah, our top exactly. Okay, so you started writing professionally then as you got older.
Yeah, mostly doing SEO content writing, which is just, it emphasizes very much quantity over quality.
SEO content writing.
Yeah, you're just writing things in such a way that the search engine will pick them up more likely.
So like when the little spider bots come and pull all the information from the sitemap type of thing.
Yeah, that's why if you search for Betsy DeVos right now, you don't find anything bad about her. Or Betsy DeVos is probably a bad example, but
no, I mean that's a valid example, I think. So you were a person that helped websites or whatever show up better in search engines by writing their copy?
Yeah, that was the idea. Sometimes you did actual journalism, but I also wrote for Examiner.
You wrote for the Examiner. What did you write?
Examiner.com, sorry.
Oh, okay. What did you write?
Mostly local news stories.
Okay.
I got to meet the Indiana's Attorney General, and that's the most famous person I've met.
Okay.
Other than Nate the lawyer, I guess. Nate the lawyer can be the most famous person I met now, but...
All right. Yeah. Hey, probably me too. Well, I did shake hands with Mitt Romney once, so maybe that's the one that I... Maybe that's the one. But, okay. Well, that's cool, though. So, did you just not like it? Why aren't you still doing that now?
Well, when I got burnt out and two Examiner went out of business.
Oh, sure, but I mean, as a larger career, why aren't you doing that as a career? Just burnout?
Burnout, and you can't make a living doing it unless you're really good at it.
Right.
So basically, something happened a few years ago that because I was also working at a Sam's Club as a sample lady, basically.
Okay. Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, never. I was gonna say never get between an old lady and her cheesecake sample.
No. No. I think that's in the Bible. Isn't that one of the miracles that Jesus performed when he got in the way of between an old lady and her sample? And
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. There's something about a fig tree. I don't know. I haven't read it. I heard about it on YouTube. But okay. So do you think that your career, whatever you want to call it, on YouTube was an extension of your journalistic background?
I think it actually ended up being that in some ways, although I didn't try to do it. But certainly some things informed it, like when I was accused of reporting, I had to say, it's like, no, this isn't reporting, this is commentary. It's like, I don't know why you're confusing this with actual journalism. It's not.
No. Well, there are some channels out there that do a good job of separating the two and presenting the two. I mean, they're rare because the thing we want most on YouTube is clicks, and the thing that drives clicks is negativity. I'm not being I'm not being pedantic. There's metrics out there. There's reams of metrics, terabytes and terabytes of metrics that prove if you present something in a negative way, people are more likely to watch it. It's just how we're wired. It's just how human beings think.
Humans love drama.
Yep. Yeah, they do.
It's like if you can't sell sex, sell drama.
All right. We're both about to get snarky about somebody. Okay, so you moved. Hold on.
Hey, I'm not gonna. I was doing the same thing, so I can't criticize the person you're thinking of for that.
Oh, I can criticize. I can criticize all I want. So you got sucked into a little bit of a rabbit hole, and we won't go. I think everybody knows the rabbit hole that you got sucked into. I'm curious, how did it start? What inspired you to first find that rabbit hole?
Well, first of all, it's kind of like a domino thing where it's like, I'm interested in biology. I'm not a professional, but unfortunately, if you look up evolution videos, a lot of them tend to be like religion versus atheism, which they don't have to be because biology isn't a religious viewpoint. It's just, all right, this is how things work.
Sure.
But then but as it turns out, Aaron Ra is one of the world's leading experts on phylogeny.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre, but he is.
He's fantastic. I mean, he's forgotten more than I'll ever know on that subject.
And I was going to say, it was actually helpful when I took biology at Ivy Tech a few years ago. Actually, I told a lot of people in my class, it's like, just watch his videos. Don't, ignore the religious content because he's good at biology, but just watch his videos.
So, do you think that part of it was you got sucked in because you saw how much attention other people were getting from their videos on the same subjects? And that's what attracted you to making your own?
Actually, the first one was just one I expected him to ignore. Because why would he... I had 30 subscribers. Why bother with me?
Sure.
And then he starts out with this 2-hour-long stream just mocking me. I'm like, okay. It's like, you want to play it this way, do you?
Weren't there... I want to word this very carefully. Was there any personal interaction between you and Silver Shipwreck? What did you call... What was your nickname for him? Shipwreck? What was it?
Petty Officer Shipwreck.
Petty Officer Shipwreck. Right. I'm sorry. It's the greatest nickname for that individual. Were there any... Did he address you directly, or was it just in his videos he threw arrows?
Oh, he did videos on me specifically.
Yeah, but I mean, did he ever DM you privately or anything like that?
I think there was an exchange on Twitter because he's like, it's a pattern we all see. And it's first, if he doesn't know you, he'll try to get you on his side first.
Right.
Until he realizes that's not going to happen.
Right. So did that then inspire you to make even more content?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, then you go down that rabbit hole, you find out it's like, this person really, well, avoiding, realizing confirmation bias is a thing. You realize this person has done a lot of, like, can I say shitty?
Yeah. You say whatever you want. Yeah, I don't care.
A lot of shitty stuff over the years. And it's like,
Sure.
It's like, I didn't even know about this.
So...
And it was at the time he was doing, it was right after, like, he did that Earl David Borden thing.
Yes, I remember. Because I think you and I started talking about that person around the exact same, like the same week, and then that's how we found each other.
Yeah. Oh, I've met a lot of cool people because of him, like Randolph Richardson.
Sure. Oh, Randolph's amazing. Yeah, Randolph's fantastic.
Even some people who were on his side, like Nicholas Suter.
Hmm?
And I would love to, like, just because I think he'd be an interesting talk to, love to have a chat with Landon Kurt Knoll, but
well,
that may not be possible.
Yeah, that would be fascinating. So you start making these videos and you start getting some traction. Was there, when it first started, was there any sense of I really shouldn't be doing this, or was it just face directly through the brick wall?
Well, if someone pisses you off, you don't really think that way at first.
Sure.
But then after a while, if you do drama, if you have any kind of conscience at all, especially if you're being kind of mean to people, even if they deserve it, it does kind of get on your nerves. Because I kept pointing out to this person, it's like, initially I recall, it's like, whatever Kyle did wrong does not excuse what you've done wrong, Steve. Oh, why did I mention his name? But anyway.
It's fine. It's fine. You're not in any trouble. We're trying not to, but you know, sometimes a little bit slips through. So you start making these videos. Did you feel like the content that you were making started to improve as you made more videos?
Actually, I got a lot better at playing Gilligan's Island on the harmonica.
Okay. All right.
Well, it became a certain format. I turned out to be good at it, and eventually you get over the nervousness and you still stumble over words because it's like a 2-hour stream, which is why I never really picked on Steve for that much.
Right. It's hard to go that late. I mean, long form streams like that are difficult. They're hard. For me too. Even when I'm just playing video games and I'm talking, it's hard. It's hard for your brain to stay focused for that long.
But I got a guilty conscience about it eventually.
Okay. Me too. You know, it's like punching a puppy over and over and over again. You're like, wow, I just feel bad. You know, especially when like the person starts to fight back, but it's like, you know, I don't know, an infant throwing a snowball at you and it just misses and it hits the floor and then the snowball just melts everywhere and then people are slipping in the water and you're like, I feel bad about this.
Well, eventually. And then it's like, some people, there were a lot of videos that started to come in my way about a certain topic for some reason. And
sure.
I'm like, probably the best way to deal with this is not give him attention.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
Because, one, he thrives on it.
Mm-hmm.
And, wait, someone found me through Shanny for Christ? I only found Shanny for Christ. Never mind.
I think I found Shanny for Christ through the person who said that they found you through Shanny for Christ. So that's kind of funny. All right. So there's a bit of an elephant in the room that I want to address. And I think that it's really applicable to YouTube today. And so you are transgendered. And
transgender, yeah.
And I am curious, have you ever faced any discrimination, let's say, on YouTube or through anyone in the comments or anything because of that?
There's another YouTuber that I tried not who got disinvited from CPAC in a hilarious fashion
Yes.
called Young Pharaoh,
Yes.
who every time, or a call for an uprising is another one where you get transphobic comments.
Hmm.
And I make it clear straight out, I'm just not going to allow these on my channel. There are plenty of other channels where you can make those comments.
Sure.
But it's like, get Young Pharaoh, and Young Pharaoh creators would come on. It's like, and I would just give them one warning. It's like, no transphobic comments.
Right.
And then they're like, what did I say was transphobic? And I'm like, delete.
Yeah. And I guess that's why I bring it up is, I don't deal with, I mean, it's very rare for somebody to shit on a straight white man for being a straight white man. Like, I'm not really, I never get any discriminatory comments. So I don't have the experience of how to deal with them for the most part. Is that basically your policy or philosophy, like a one and done type of deal?
The thing is, I'm not one of the best people for dealing with it. I think if you go to like ContraPoints' channel or Abigail Thorne's, they handle it better and try to explain
Sure.
it. But
Sure.
I'm not going to spend my time educating people about transgender issues on YouTube, especially if they're people like Young Pharaoh followers or call for an uprising. They've already made up their mind.
Right.
It's like they can go say what they want on his channel. I'm not going to stop them.
Right.
It's like I'm not deplatforming them. It's just this is my playground. These are my rules. I mean, probably if YouTube could let you appoint moderators for the chat and let other people handle it who might be better at dealing with people, but
Right.
But yeah, it's like you're gonna get it, and it's like, and I think Young Pharaoh followers were like, "You think you're a man who thinks she's a girl?" It's like, I just said, it's like, first off, no transphobic comments are allowed on this channel because maybe they don't know. But if they're gonna try to argue, it's like, what did I say was transphobic? It's like, it's not my job to explain this to you.
Go back to third grade and figure it out. Yeah, and I think that it's gotten better, both on YouTube's side with different moderation tools and different ways that they've addressed it, and with the community at large, people being more being less tolerant of people being shitty, but more tolerant of somebody who says, I want to change. Because I think that there's a lot of people out there who make comments or do things, say things that they don't even realize are them being bigots. They don't recognize it. And people who do see it are like, how do you not see? But they legitimately don't. And I'm not talking about the guys you were talking about, because those are just little dude bros. But there are people out there who do things that are horrifically bigoted, or say things that are horrifically bigoted, that I genuinely don't believe actually know it. It is a shrinking part of our larger population. It's not the norm. Certainly not the norm like it was even 40, 50 years ago. But I want to know from you, how do you feel that the community is changing, and do you think that there are changes that me as a content creator, other content creators could make to make things better?
Well, there's a point in chat that hello Shay, first off, hello.
Oh, is Shay here?
She brought up, yeah, Shay's here, that I wanted to address. It's like, if someone slips up and says transgendered, it doesn't really matter that much. It was probably just a slip up.
Yes, is that what I said? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I apologize. That's not what I meant.
You have to kind of take context into account in these things. Like, not everyone can keep up with whatever the latest language is.
Right, but it's important to try, and it's important to apologize when you get it wrong. But how do you feel, do you think that things are getting better?
I'm not really sure about that, because I can see a lot of things, especially after the previous administration.
Right, I'm not talking about society at large. I'm talking about specifically in the content creation sphere. We'll go to society at large in a second. I'm talking about first on YouTube, and then we'll go bigger.
I think YouTube's gotten better about it, but I'm not sure I agree with the way they're doing it.
How so?
The one thing YouTube can't really do well, and this is a problem with weak AI in general, is pick up on context. Like, I had one video taken down where I was mocking someone whose name we'd probably all recognize because he was spreading ridiculous COVID-19 conspiracy theories.
Yes.
And every time I try to mock him for his ideas, everyone wants to mock him for something else. For good reason, I might add. But,
Yes. Yes.
but YouTube just took it down. It's like, and I wasn't angry about it, and just had to point out, it's like, no, I wasn't promoting any of these theories. But I'm like, yeah, if you feel it was promoting, I'm just going to let you take it down because it's not really that big a deal to me.
Sure.
And, it's just like the same thing with Twitter's auto bans. And sometimes there might be valid points these people have. Usually not, but...
Yeah.
Or some... But YouTube did have a problem in general with spreading misinformation, which YouTube has tried to crack down on. And it's not like YouTube can hire fact checkers or review each video individually because there's just too much content. But at the same time, I don't think YouTube is really understanding the limits of artificial intelligence as it exists right now. I mean, Google is probably on the leading edge of what artificial intelligence can do.
Yeah.
But computers are still really bad about picking up on context.
Yeah, and it's a whole... I've read lots of discussions, articles and stuff that get posted about how difficult it is to replicate speech, normal speech patterns even, for AI systems. Even, Google and Alexa, ones that we think are really, really good at it, aren't really. It's fairly decent at some of it. But it's very, very difficult for them to follow along a conversation and to have a conversation with you. They can answer a question, but it's very hard for them to then engage in a ongoing conversation with you.
YouTube fails miserably in killing misinformation. Yeah, that's pretty true.
Yeah.
Actually, YouTube, they're a lot better about it than they used to be. Like, they're no longer promoting Flat Earth videos, but sometimes I have to wonder, was anyone taking the Flat Earthers seriously?
Yeah. Well, what about society at large? Has society at large improved, not improved?
Well, I have two thoughts on that.
Okay.
I'm not really sure which way to go. The first is I think it is improving, but the problem is we have a lot of... All right, I think this is the best way to put it. The people who are trying to hold on to these older values are often the loudest and least educated in our society.
Mm.
And they're also the ones that tend to have more power.
Dunning-Kruger, somewhat. That's about half Dunning-Kruger and half some other stuff. I've seen things change just from when I was a kid. I mean, just the nomenclature, just saying transgender instead of, the words that we used to say when I was a kid. That, by the way, when I was a kid, were in normal usage. No one indicated that it was bad. That was what we called people, right?
Transsexual.
There's another one that I'm thinking of that I don't even want to say.
I'm not going to say it because that will get you demonetized.
Well, yeah, and rightly so. And it's not a word that anyone should be using anymore. But that was the word. I used it. Not because I was a bigot or was trying to demean anyone, but because that's what I thought you used as the word, I'm not defending. I'm not saying that it was okay to use it. I'm just saying that's why I used it when I was younger. What? Go ahead.
I am happy that no trans person has to learn what they are from the Jerry Springer show anymore.
Oh God, don't even... and I was thinking about that the other day. I'm glad you brought that up because it wasn't just the Jerry Springer show. It was on Oprah. There were a bunch of Oprah shows and Maury Povich where that was in the Chiron. It's not like you turn on the TV and that's the word that they're using. Like it wasn't, it wasn't something that was used to demean. It was just it was like calling a dog a dog. Like, it wasn't, no one was trying to be offensive. until we went, oh, you know what? It's really offensive to be using this particular word for people. It's actually really, really bad. We all went, oh, yeah, we really shouldn't. Well, we didn't all say that, unfortunately, but enough of us have said it. And, you know, just the fact that that is changing, I think, is an improvement. But I know that there's a lot more that can be done. And as somebody that doesn't have the experience that you have, I'm curious what you would like to see change. Like, what work do we still need to do?
Well, one thing we really just need to do something about the misinformation outlets, and I'm not just talking about YouTube. Like, turn on talk radio, which I do listen to from time to time,
Ugh.
and you'll hear usually old white men screaming. And they're like, it's like, I just listened to someone named Joe Pags interview Caitlyn Jenner, and that was, ugh. Like, why?
Yeah, she is something else.
And he's like, I have these things about biology. It's like, first of all, biology goes beyond 8th grade biology. The science behind transgender people isn't about chromosomes.
Right. It's about neuroscience. And that's what I think that neuroscience gets. I'm saying not entirely, but I'm just saying we're talking about neuroscientific stuff that they ignore, but they also ignore it when we talk about mental health issues like anxiety and depression. It's a way of being. I don't even know the right word to. What word am I trying to say? I see you trying to talk.
I don't know what you're trying to say. I'm trying to figure out what word you're trying to say.
In other words, it's a way of. This is why it's hard for me, because it doesn't. I don't have it inside me, but it's something in your core that's different than your biology, and it's like they don't want to acknowledge it.
Well, people have a hard time understanding things they don't personally experience.
Yeah.
Isn't Caitlyn Jenner spelled with a C? And I think that's one of the issues here, but a lot of these people have just gotten, that was my phone, homophobic messages over society from the years, especially from, I hate to say it, religion. Like, sure. I'm an ex-Mormon. You know, and the Mormons are like, gender is eternal, you can't change it, and you know, even though the Mormons could just say, it's like occasionally a spirit gets put in the wrong body, and that would solve the entire issue there.
Right, sure.
But they're not going to do that.
So gender is eternal for humans, but not for all the different animals that some of whom regularly change their gender or exchange genders. Plants that can be both genders, and so it's only eternal for humans.
Well, that's a relatively new thing, because I don't think any of the original Mormon leaders touched on it, because they didn't think they'd have to.
Okay. All right.
And now we have now the church is being run by a gerontocracy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you'd think that... I remember when I was a kid hearing that angels didn't have a gender, that they were genderless. And so you'd think that it would be something that would fit into a religious explanation or a religious context, and yet they're adamant that it doesn't.
Well, Mormon theology is different than Christian theology on a lot of concepts.
True.
Which doesn't mean it... Sorry. I don't want to say it isn't Christian theology, and the only argument I'll accept that Mormons aren't Christian is that they've strayed far enough from the original concepts that they can no longer be considered Christian.
Okay, well, that's fair. That's fair.
But the Mormons call themselves Christian, so therefore, as far as I'm concerned, they're Christian.
Okay, all right. I mean, I always thought that Mormons were Christian. I didn't realize, I didn't have any Mormon friends. I wasn't Mormon, so I didn't realize that there was such a big discrepancy. But it's just as different as like Jehovah's Witnesses and Christians or normal Christians, whatever. I'm not trying to be offensive. I literally don't know the correct term here. They're very, very different.
The way I think of it is you can split Christianity off into at least 3 branches. And we know the 2 main ones, Catholicism and Protestantism. and Protestant
Sure.
breaks into different ones.
Right.
But the Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons fall into a uniquely American one called Restorationist. Because
Reminds
each
me
of
of a
them are
joke.
claimed,
Can I tell you a quick joke before I forget it?
as long as it's not about solipsism.
It's not. So there's this guy standing on a bridge, and he's about to jump off the bridge. Another guy runs up. He's like, "Oh my God, don't jump! Don't jump! Don't jump!" The guy says, "No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump. I'm going to jump." The guy says, "Okay, hold on. Are you a Christian?" So the guy says, "Yeah, I'm a Christian." He says, "Okay, are you Catholic or Protestant?" He says, "I'm Protestant." "Well, are you Baptist? Are you what form of Protestantism?" He says, "Yeah, I'm a Baptist." He says, "Okay, you're Southern or Northern Baptist?" He says, "Southern Baptist." "Well, are you Southern Baptist Northeast or Southern Baptist Southeast?" He says, "Well, I'm Southern Baptist Southeast." He says, "Okay, are you Southern Baptist Southeast 1979 or Southern Baptist Southeast 1914? He says, "I'm Southern Baptist Southeast 1914. He says, "Die, heretic," and he pushes him off the side of the bridge.
I've heard that one before.
It's a good joke. It's a really good joke.
And honestly, I was going to say, were the Anabaptist Calvinists?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong. I have no idea.
Well, like another YouTuber I really enjoy, I'm also descended from Swiss Mennonites, but I'm Pennsylvania Dutch.
Okay, so I've realized that we're 40 minutes in, and there's a question that I want to start asking everybody. I want to talk about the gear you use. And you talked a little bit about the camera that you had in the other room. What kind of camera is it that you have?
It's in this room. It's a Nikon D3500.
A Nikon D3500. And that's mostly a photography camera. How long have you had that?
Yeah, since I replaced my Nikon Coolpix B600.
Wow, you've had that a while. You've had that for like 7 years?
A year, because I didn't have the Coolpix B600 for that long.
Yeah, the D3500 I don't think is that old. But do you mainly use it?
Entry.
Right. Do you mainly use it for photography?
Mostly. I mean, I got a deal where it comes with 2 lenses. It can do video, but you can't attach a camera to it.
Yeah.
And usually for the streams, I just use the webcam that's attached to the computer.
Right. I don't even think the 3500 has clean HDMI out, but I don't remember. Have you tried streaming with it?
I probably should. I probably could, because I could move around the space more and not be tied so close to the computer. But
right. I don't remember if it has clean HDMI out or not. I used to have a Nikon. I didn't have the 3500. I had a full frame Nikon for a while. I love that camera. Okay, and then what kind of microphone do you use?
Actually, it's a Blue Yeti.
Okay. I've got one. I've used it before. It's right over there, actually.
Which I have a story about, because apparently microphones are an essential ingredient for the apocalypse. So I went to Walmart to buy it, and I was trying to save, but I thought, well, maybe I should use some to stimulate the economy, because that's what this money is for.
Oh, I see.
They were out of almost everything except the one that had PUBG with it.
Yes.
And I'm like, can I get this microphone without PUBG? I don't want PUBG.
PUBG's fun. It can be fun.
I'm much like Overwatch, it needs a PvE mode. Except it's coming to Overwatch, I think.
Overwatch has a PvE mode. Let's not shit on really good games. Okay, that's not why we're here.
It has a training mode, and it's coming with the real PvE mode. It's coming.
It does. It is. Overwatch with Overwatch 2, whatever, which we were supposed to have years ago. Anyway, I don't want to get into that either.
I played Overwatch.
Yeah, one of the biggest things about the pandemic one of the biggest shortages. Okay, so when Microsoft Flight Simulator came out, the newest one, it was so popular that all of the HOTAS systems sold out. All of the control, joystick and throttle systems were sold out everywhere. Like you couldn't even get them. You could not. I looked. I tried for like 2 months to buy one, and they were all sold out everywhere because the game was so popular that everyone bought all of them, and no one had anything to do except sit around and play Flight Simulator last summer. And you could fly around, and it had real weather data, and you could fly around to where all the different hurricanes were. And people were putting all these photos up on Instagram and whatnot of them doing that, and Reddit or a bunch. But yeah, there were a lot of weird shortages last year. That was my favorite one, was the HOTUS system selling out.
So I have PUBG on Steam.
Mhm.
Other things I did just as affectations. Didn't really address that tonight. Like the flapper gear was an affectation.
What is the story behind that? I'm glad you brought that up. What was the story behind wearing the flapper gear?
Oh, I just initially bought it because like it was the 20s again, and I expected it to be. Well, I didn't expect like the 1970 thing to hit like in the 20s,
Oh, sure.
but we all knew this. I was going to say we all knew the pandemic was going to happen. It was just like, all right, well, I'll just. I think it started out as just like wearing hats, just to be silly, but then I just gathered the flapper gear, and mostly it's just like people liked it. So,
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
and if I do go back to streaming, I'll probably be doing something different because as much as fun as mocking people, young Pharaoh was, and I'm still chuckling over what happened to him with CPAC.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah.
It's not
It,
necessarily that useful.
I mean,
Go ahead, sorry.
it's funny, but at the same time, you know, what I want is for people like that to be better. I want them to be better people instead of, like I think somebody like Steven Crowder or a Ben Shapiro, they know how fake they are. They know that they're not real, argumentative, intellectual thinkers, right? They're just there to get the clicks. And I think that you would see it would be a lot better for our society. One of my favorite things I've ever seen in media. Have you ever seen the time that Jon Stewart was on Crossfire with
Tucker Carlson?
Tucker Carlson? If anyone's not seen this, it happened a long time ago. It was, I want to say it was 2008 or 2012. No, it wasn't 2012. It had to have been either 2004 or 2008. Anyway, one of the things that Jon Stewart says is, "You're hurting the country. Please stop. Please stop. You're hurting us." And I think that if we found a way to show that there's a way to create that's a positive way of creating instead of a negative way of creating, I think that I love you, Puff. I think that there's a way. I think that there's a way to create with positivity that can be just as influential and just as lucrative, I guess, if we're brave enough and willing to do it. And I think that it's difficult and it's going to take time for me to figure out. But that's the quest I'm on. How can I use positivity to my advantage? And I am by nature a very sarcastic and snarky individual. So it's really going against the grain of myself in order to go on this quest. But I'm going to attempt it, and we're going to see how far I get. And the fun thing is, I get to do it in public with everyone watching. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it's very hard to be snarky and sarcastic in positive ways.
Nuh-uh.
The best you can do is go after people you think deserve it, and
Well, yeah.
that has its own problems.
So before we get out of here, because we only got about 10 minutes left, we need to talk about the actual elephant in the room. And it's exactly why I used the term elephant in the room earlier, because what I brought up earlier wasn't the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is a bunny and a bear.
Actually, the whole point.
Go ahead.
Those who don't know, I challenged Ethan to a debate, a modern day debate, because there are a lot of stupid, pointless debates that have taken place on modern day debate, including some it's like, why is this debate? Either this person is or isn't this.
Well, here's the thing. We're going to reward all of the people that stayed this long with that debate. For the next 10 minutes, you and I are going to debate something, a very specific topic, of who is the better Taoist, Winnie the Pooh or Bugs Bunny. I'll let you take the floor first,
to moderate?
No. We don't need a moderator. It's fine. I've got a mute button. If I don't like it, I'll just turn. I can just turn your volume off. It's fine.
Well, like I said,
Go ahead.
The basic point of this was to illustrate different parts of Taoism, which I
No. You wanted a debate. We're debating. We're going to get serious about it in a minute. I'm pointing tweezers at you. I don't know why. I don't even know why these are on my desk. I was fixing something earlier, and these are my tweezers. They were on the desk. No. Make your point.
But Titan. Why did I say Titan? While Pooh represents the on-card block, I think Bugs Bunny represents the ability to requite injury with the power of good deeds. And while he does say this means war, he doesn't often hold grudges. And if people like Elmer Fudd aren't actively trying to kill him, he'll actually go on adventures with them. Don't think he ever does it with Yosemite Sam, though. So...
Maya, the accusing tweezers. These are the accusing tweezers. I like that. All right. Well, here's why you're wrong. So Bugs Bunny is a stinky head, and Winnie the Pooh isn't. Checkmate, atheist.
Okay, Are we going to discuss whether rocks are atheists next?
You know what I found out in my time away? I actually proved that all atheists are rocks.
Really? Because I've made a point of trying to go around installing chips in rocks to make them Buddhist.
Yes, I can prove that all atheists are rocks. Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. We are 70% water-ish. Let's just go. We'll go with 70%. The actual numbers can be all over the place. But let's go with 70%. That we're 70% water. Okay? 90%, whatever it is. I don't even know. I'm just making shit up. So let's say we're 70%. No, the Earth is 70% water. We're like 90% water. I've got my numbers. Let's pretend it's 90. So we're 90% water, right? Well, we are carbon-based life forms. And therefore, we are technically carbon crystals. Crystals are rocks. Don't at me. Crystals are rocks. Therefore, all atheists are rocks. I win.
It's as sensible as any other. It's as sensible as any other argument I've heard on the topic. Anyway,
I win. Okay, but seriously, no, I do want to talk about this for a second. I do want to get serious about Winnie versus Bugs because you bring up a good point about Taoism. I think a lot of people see Taoism as all Taoists are pacifists who think that the way that you beat things is by not doing anything and meditating.
That's not Taoism.
And it's not. But that's what I think people have this misconception. Not doing a thing is an action. It's not passive. You have to actively not do things. You have to actively find the opposite. You have to actively find the upside down, the backwards, the diagonal in order to confront and solve problems. Taoism at its heart is about problem solving and not getting frustrated and angry and breaking the thing which you are trying to fix before it is fixed.
And it doesn't say not to engage in war. It says to use weapons without enjoyment.
Correct. In other words, it says the way that you win wars is by not getting too excited that you're winning before you've actually won. And that after you've won, making sure that whoever it is that you've beaten is okay. And that they're just defeated and not destroyed.
If anyone wants a really good translation of the Tao Te Ching, Ursula K. Le Guin had one.
I don't know.
There are others, but she did do, well, it wasn't really a translation, but she does have a version.
I do not know.
But you can find good translations online for free if you need to.
my favorite translation. I'm gonna put this in the chat right now. Put this in the chat right now. It's easy to find. It's dao-in.u.com. Let me put this in the. There you go. That is the entire DAO, and there are 3 different translations for the DAO. All you do is go to the top. You go to translations, and you click on it, and it talks about the 3. It's James Legg, J.H. McDonald, and I'm going to probably say this wrong, Lin Yu Tang. But all 81 chapters are there, and each one at the bottom has that person's translation of the DAO.
April, that person's Twitter is currently privated.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about any silver fish. Well, listen, before we get out of here, what I'd like you to do is give a statement of some kind to other content creators. What's your message to other people that create content? And I don't just mean people on YouTube. I mean if somebody's a writer, if somebody's a singer, somebody that creates stuff. What do you want to say?
Well, eventually you'll have to learn, don't try to copy other people. You'll have your own style that's unique to you. And for me, it just happened to be like, if I'm allowed to be snarky and just be silly and a bit playful, I mean, there is a reason why I call myself, well, actually, porpoises aren't dolphins, but they're close enough.
Yeah.
There is a reason why I call myself
They're
Sinister
whales.
Porpoise.
We know that.
Daffy Duck is a Mormon. I don't know.
Oh, God. What would Daffy Duck be? And if you guys have any questions for Sinister Porpoise, this is the time to put them in the chat, because we're out of here in a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Daffy
just be yourself.
Duck. Daffy Duck's like a Lutheran.
And also, don't be afraid to experiment. I'll go with Lutheran. He's uptight, whatever he is.
He's uptight, but he's not like, he's not Elmer Fudd. He's just uptight. He's not an Episcopalian, because those guys are crazy. He's more of a Lutheran, I'd say. Daffy Duck's a Lutheran.
Speedy Gonzales is a Catholic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, sure.
Actually, I don't think they show his cartoons anymore, but...
Really? I loved Speedy Gonzales when I was a kid. But, of course, I haven't watched them since I was a kid, so I haven't seen them with adult eyes. I'm sure if I saw them with adult eyes, I would feel very differently about Speedy Gonzales.
I think it is considered to be an offensive Mexican stereotype, but
I could see
know.
that. Absolutely.
A lot of Mexicans seem to like him, though.
You got me. I don't know.
No Titan rocks are Buddhist because I'm making them Buddhist.
Okay. That's fair.
Just so that argument stops.
Right. I'm a fan of this.
So, fair. Actually, it could... I'm also a fan of Ray Bradbury, author of Fahrenheit 451, and he did a book called Zen in the Art of Writing that has a lot of good advice. It's like, you can try to imitate people, but even if you imitate people, you end up being yourself at some point. And you're still going to be creative. It's just you're not going to be... You're going the long way around.
Yeah, there's a saying... I originally heard it about people who wrote plays in theater as a kid, but it applies to all art. It says, amateurs copy and professionals steal. And I have held to that. If you see somebody... If somebody's creating a type of content that you really like and that inspires you to create your own content, and you want to do exactly what they're doing, I say go for it. Because you might end up doing it better than them. You might not, but I don't think that... I don't think that ultimate originality is as important as people say it is. I think that you're more likely to find success with small instances of innovation within the same sphere as somebody else, as somebody who inspires you.
Roadrunner's an atheist.
He's a nihilist. Roadrunner's a nihilist.
I think we've started something unintentional where people are going to try to like answer
All right.
what religion Looney Tunes characters are.
Listen, I'm ending this before it gets too crazy. I want to thank you all for watching. Sinister Porpoise, where can people find you?
Actually, at some point, I actually do want to start tech streams. Like, one thing I want to do is do something where people challenge me to do that. There's certain something can't be done on Linux, and I'm going to show them it can.
Ooh, yeah. Or you should do some Linux tutorials. People love that stuff.
I'm also thinking about doing some Python tutorials, but you know, as for going back to drama, well, that depends on how things go the next couple of months, and depending on if I get the job I was doing earlier this year.
Right.
Because I think most people still want drama for me, because you also get into that rut.
Yeah.
Where you get known for a certain topic, and
that's what people come to see. No, I agree. I agree. Listen, I want to thank you for being here. It was wonderful having you, and I look forward to having you again and other stuff here on the channel. And I want to thank everybody for watching. But I will see you soon, my friend.
Oh, and the Twitch channel is twitch.tv sinisterporpoise77.
Yes, we should do some gaming streams sometime, you and I. We should play Overwatch. I would love that.
All right. Well.
All right, guys. Ethan Plays Live on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. Check me out. Make sure you follow me. Make sure you like the stream. And subscribe if you're new. We will see you all next time. Good night, everybody.
So long, and